I want to take you back in time, my friends. I want to give you a warm memory, something that you can take and press to your bosom and feel good at night. And it is a story from Snopes. Snopes, I know, I can already hear the gasps from the crowd. Did U.S. gas prices drop below $2 under Trump? They want you to forget gas was under $2 when Trump was in office, one Twitter user posted. Claim. National gas price averages for regular fuel dropped below $2 per gallon during U.S. President Trump's term in office. Snopes has determined this to be true. In early October 2022, received inquiries from readers who asked if it is true the national average gas price fell under $2 per gallon. That's right, $1.84 per gallon in April 2020. They do want you to forget it. Because right now, as you are being squeezed out with a near $4 average across the country and it going up, Joe Biden is desperately begging Saudi Arabia to postpone it just long enough for them to win the midterms. So while that is going on and Joe Biden is facing, well, we'll see if there's any real consequences. But as long as we're talking about it and calling him out while he's facing that news story, I want to make sure everybody remembers gas dropped below $2 under Trump.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm sorry. Here's the I want to give a shout out because they did change the article. When I tweeted this story out, the claim said national gas prices for regular fuel dropped below $2 per gallon during U.S. President Donald Trump's first term in office. And I tweeted that screenshot. Sticks Hexenhammer responded, pointing to first term, and then said, they know. They're implying Trump's going to win. He's going to come back in 2024.
Well, this definitely gives them an opportunity to do so. And as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, but under his administration, imported oil dropped by 25%. He did allow exploration. He did allow production, which brought more oil on the world market. And with more oil, the demand of it went down and the price of it went down as well. So when you look at those kind of policies, they did make a huge impact because when you have cheap energy, you have an ability for human beings to progress. And on that marker, Donald Trump has something to stand on and brag about since, of course, this administration is doing the opposite of that and wreaking havoc on our financial system deliberately.
It's funny. It's like we were a net exporter of fuel, weren't we?
Right.
In 2020, and gas price was dirt cheap. And now we're desperately importing and gas is very expensive. How's that?
And it's just a series of self-inflicted problems. I mean, the border is a self-inflicted problem. The energy costs are a self-inflicted problem. All of the money we're spending in Ukraine is largely, obviously it's to some degree a Putin-inflicted problem, but it's largely a self-inflicted problem.
I want to pause there and put a note on that. Putin did start this war, but the United States choosing to be involved is a self-inflicted problem.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. And to be involved without any scrutiny, without any end goal, without any...
I'm sorry. How does this happen? There's no declaration of war. How is it that we get roped into sending billions of dollars? What, 100 billion? What's the number so far? We didn't vote on this. Congress did Congress declare war and say that we're able to do this?
The $40 billion they voted on, but the drawdown packages and all of those things, those don't come from Congress at all.
This is war. This is providing intelligence and resources to fight Russia. And what, they don't need to declare war in this capacity? We're going to be dragged into it now. I mean, if they're allowed to get away with this, then there never will be. I mean, there hasn't been they've not declared war since what, World War II?
Declaration of war has kind of become one of those dead letters. It's sort of a nicety. They're reducing the Constitution to really the Robert's Rules of Order, like the process-related things of like how many people get to serve in Congress, what their ages of eligibility are. Yep. We take those things very seriously. Enumerated power is not very much.
I'm looking at the average crude oil price, and it is true. In April of 2020, it was $21. But in January of 2020, it was 61. So it dropped massively.
Pandemic.
And then the pandemic struck, and then it started just to scale back up to 100. And so from 21 in April of 2020 to 116, 5 times the amount in June. And it's got to be correlating with inflation, which is also self-inflicted.
I think if you look at the average of his presidency, it was like $2.30 or something. So even if we were to take out that low point, it was still better under Trump. And it's simple. When Trump is green lighting energy exploration and production, speculation on these things are that supply will meet demand, and so the price stabilizes. When Joe Biden comes in and starts axing permits and shutting down pipelines, speculation is that we will not have a supply to meet demand, and the price skyrockets just from speculation alone. Not to mention, we do have now a reduced supply. And then we go, Biden goes to Saudi Arabia and says, we desperately need production to go up. And they say, no. So what does Biden do? He drains the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. He's like, I want you to imagine it this way. Your roommate quits his job, no longer making any money. And you're like, bro, you need a job. No, don't worry. I'm going to ask my mom. My mom will give me money. My mom's good. She'll give me money. And then every time his mom says no, he goes into your rainy day fund and pulls cash and says, no, don't worry. It's just, we got to pay the rent, but my mom will come through. And now the rainy day jar is almost empty.
I'm thinking about what were you going to say?
The strategic oil reserve is at the low. It's one of its lowest points in decades. So now you have to think about it. This was predominantly, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was created because of World War II, just so the United States has enough oil and energy to actually fight a war. So with these levels being low, we're not really at preparedness levels from a lot of an analyst's perspectives to be able to fight a war. Now, if there is a war now, we're kind of stuck in a very bad situation.
That's what exactly I was thinking. Is it seems like whoever's in charge in command, which is obviously the commander in chief, the president Joe Biden, has this illusion that we're invulnerable or something. Like the way they surrendered in Afghanistan and let all those people die and let all that infrastructure, however many billions of dollars worth of equipment left over for the Taliban without, you think there's no consequences because we're America, no one's going to attack us, we're fine. Like you can't just cut off the oil that fuels the jets and the bombers and the tanks and the planes and the factories that make the steel and the plastics that we use for all of our phones and our roads and our and expect that no one's going to attack us in the meantime while we don't have a supply. That's when countries get attacked, is when they're at their weakest. You need a defensive mechanism in place.
Well,
at the same time he was doing all of this too, he was attacking domestic oil producers, attacking domestic energy producers, and saying that they're the reason that prices are up, and it's price gouging. And he's really done this with every vaguely inflation-related topic. I mean, all politicians to some extent do this, but Biden's really brazen. Everything going wrong in the economy is some external factor that is outside of his control. He has nothing to do with it. Everything that goes right in the economy is a direct result of his policies.
It's Putin's price hike, if you remember. He's been saying it's just transitory. It's great that it's here. It's actually good that it's here. I actually started my video off today with a compilation of Biden within the last 2 years saying, hey, inflation, it's not here. It's transitory. It's crazy. And you just see the progression of it. And now we are here with new inflation numbers that should terrify people, as of course these are manipulated numbers, and the real life numbers are a lot more daunting that of course aren't really published, aren't really talked about, but should be.
If you live long enough, everything is transitory.
That's right. Yes. Life is transitory.
Yes.
This whole war, don't worry, it's transitory. Yeah, for 20 some odd years, we got to experience Afghanistan. Amazing. Well, I want to hand it to Joe Biden. He is what's the right way to phrase this? He has accomplished what his detractors thought he would accomplish, but boy, did he do it tenfold, and he did it faster than people expected. I mean, I knew war was coming. I was saying, look, you vote for Biden, we're going to get war. I didn't know it was going to be World War III. Wow. Well beyond my expectations. Biden, you did it. It's like bowling a perfect game of gutter balls. It's like, well, you have consistency there, but we didn't think you'd do that bad. But there you go.
Yeah, I remember when Biden first got in, I'm like, the probability and chances of us going to war is high now,
100%.
Especially in Ukraine. And it's been absolutely true. Now, this leads us to kind of question it. Is it because he's a bad leader? Is it because he's a failed leader? Is it because he's an incompetent leader? Or is this a part of a bigger ruse, a bigger plan in order to bring something else in that will, of course, profit and benefit off of these problems that are being deliberately caused right now?
It could be both, because I do think he is incompetent. Well, based on the Afghanistan surrender, that is the most incompetent use of the American military I've ever heard of, to lose that war that we were winning, to give up to the Taliban and let them take over like that.
I got to disagree with you. I think that was an act of pure competence. It was intentional. You do not accidentally abandon an Air Force base in the middle of the night. That can't be an accident.
No,
it's one thing.
It was intentional, which is like
plus the United States has military protocol to blow up and to literally send in fighter jets to destroy U.S. equipment before they go into enemies' hands. They failed to do that with ISIS in northern Iraq before ISIS got all the Humvee vehicles, and they failed to do that here in Afghanistan as well.
So when I say it was competence, It wasn't that they made a bad call. It was the right call for exactly what they wanted to happen. They know what they're doing. You don't accidentally say, okay, everybody at 3 a.m. quickly flee and let rioters and looters come and take everything. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I would think it wouldn't. Nobody in their right mind would do something like that.
And not only that, they could have done the evacuations through the fortified Air Force Base.
They could have taken 8 months. They could have told the Taliban to suck it. We're leaving when we're leaving. It doesn't matter what day we told you. It's war. Deal with it.
Air support got pulled. All of a sudden, the air superiority was gone. Taliban started rushing in. Afghan security forces were getting massacred. Yeah, that was, I view that all as intentional.
Well, and the one foreign policy question that Biden has been right about in his entire career was that the U.S. Western-supported Afghan government was fake, that it was corrupt, it was fake, it wasn't real. And yet he premised, at least publicly, his entire withdrawal strategy on that government being able to hold long enough for everybody to get out, when his own predictions had said that there was just, without U.S. support, that government couldn't exist.
Yeah, especially the air support. I mean, they were heavily reliant on the logistics that the United States was providing. And then without the logistics, they were empty. It was like a bunch of people that didn't know who was where.
It was a Warren Zevon government. Send lawyers, guns, and money. And if you don't send those things, there is no government.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.